My name's Bill Breitenbach. I'm a professor in the history department. I've been at the University of Puget Sound since 1980, so I'm very much experienced in the ways of this institution. I'd like to tell the story of the first paper that I wrote in college. I'd not written any papers at all in high school, so I was literally a complete novice at this. Came in, the assignment was to write a paper about the poem Spring Pools by Robert Frost, and I had no idea what to do. And of course there was no assistance in it. It was just the assignment sheet just said turn in the paper. So I looked at this and I turned it into this huge allegory. The pond stood for something and the tree buds stood for something else, and turned it in and sat there and waited the week-long period and got it back C-. And I went right back to my dorm room, packed my suitcase, and waited for a dean to show up and tell me to leave college. Well, there was no notion that I could go and talk to a professor. Professors were there to give lectures. They would have looked at me with disdain and annoyance if I'd shown up and asked how to write a paper or what I could do to improve. And so I talked to some of my classmates about it, and I discovered that they had put in their papers two magic words, two words that seemed to have talismanic power. One was ambiguity, and the other was ambivalence. So I thought, well, I'll start peppering my papers with these words, and sure enough, my grades rose, and I thought, this is great. But there are two lessons that I'd like to draw out of this. One, 50 years ago, professors weren't interested in doing anything other than giving lectures. They didn't see it as part of their job to help students become better writers, and I think this has changed dramatically. So one of the lessons is take advantage of all of the opportunities you have on campus at Puget Sound to get aid, assistance from the Center for Writing, Learning, and Teaching, from your professor during office hours. You don't have to sit around and wait for the light bulb to magically pop on, or for some magic words to appear. You can get a lot of help if you just go out and seek it. The second thing about it is just what these words ambiguity and ambivalence seem to indicate. They weren't magic words, but what they emerged out of was a sense that there's a kind of a tension or a contradiction or an inconsistency in the materials that you're writing about. That's what you're trying to draw out, and that's what you're trying to make an argument about. So what you're looking for is some kind of although-but statement. Although it might seem this, it's really that. So one of the things I try to tell students a lot is that to go through the sources, go through the documents that you're going to be writing about, and be perplexed, be puzzled, be baffled, be bewildered. That's not a bad thing. That's a really good thing. That you need to have some sort of question before you have an answer. And my sense is that when students go off the tracks, they often go to the sources, go to the documents, are puzzled and perplexed, and then seek some ready-made answer for the paper. And when they don't find that ready-made answer, they panic and just dump into the paper whatever information they find in the documents or in the sources. So I would just encourage people to be of good cheer, be happy, be pleased when they find themselves a little perplexed or a little bewildered, puzzled when they're first starting to write the paper. Because in puzzles, you need to have a question before you can have an answer. I like having written. I don't particularly enjoy the process of writing. I find it very difficult, and I end up writing my first paragraph 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 times. And it seems as though I'm just wasting paper, but really what's happening, I think, in that process is the percolation of trying to find some problem or something a puzzle that I can frame the paper as. So I guess it's those moments when something comes to me out of my bewilderment and my puzzlement, my perplexity, those are the moments that are most enjoyable. I like students who pay attention to, who really try to learn from professors' comments, and who don't just look at the grade. You know, it's human nature to look at the grade first, and then, but if that's as much as you do, and then fold the paper up and put it away or throw it away, that's really kind of irritating, I suppose, to me. So that's the thing I like least. But I've had some students who have just come in, not particularly good writers, but have really, really worked hard and listened to everything that gets said, and really throw themselves into the enterprise. That's the most rewarding. Oh, I didn't get thrown out of college.
Oh, that's good.